The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Monday in the Rev.
And I can't believe how clear you are today.
Yes, I am now like I've joined everybody else on a different Wi-Fi. That Verizon was terrible. We had all kinds of problems. And I'm on, you can see my face today. Well, that may be a positive or a negative, depending on what your perspective is. But at least I can see you guys. So
and your lip movements match your words now.
Yeah, actually, yeah. So yeah, that DSL was terrible, and it's long overdue change. So it's Monday in the Rev. The campaign has begun.
Yes, it has.
We're seeing radio calls and planted radio calls and a little bit of disparagement of the candidates, and the blame game has begun, and a whole bunch of things going on, including and not restricted to what's going on with the redevelopment. Huh?
It's always something. I'm telling you, Fall River's never a dull moment.
No, it's always something to talk about. So I guess there's some new. We had people that were voting that weren't supposed to be voting, and now we've got some new people being appointed, and it's a shell game. You can't keep track of anybody without a scorecard anymore.
I know. It's I know what you're talking about though. At the park board meeting, that was an absolute ridiculous.
That was
going. That was a travesty. I mean, and I wrote about that in the Weekend Flush.
Yeah.
My big problem is that we have a mayor that's appointing people that are doing his bidding. They're not doing the bidding of the people. They're not doing what's in the best interest for the people. They're not doing what's in the best interest for the city. They're doing what's in the best interest of the mayor and what the mayor wants. And it's very interesting to see every time you turn around where it's coming from, because it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. And we saw this with the park board last time when he removed 2 people. And again, we see this now. And I think we're going to see more of it. I wrote about the fact that Congressman Auchincloss put money in the budget for our pier and our CSO projects. Hopefully we can get some of that CSO money. But what I didn't include in that little story about Auchincloss was the fact that he said that money goes into the state's revolving fund, which is where we get our money from, is the state revolving fund. So does that mean there's going to be more money available in the state revolving fund for us to reach out to? Or does it just mean he's going to resupply the state revolving fund? How about giving us some grants to do this? How about working for us? No, that's right. We're not Newtonians, so we're not entitled.
Well, we all know that the Auchincloss sign was on the front lawn of the mayor. So
that's right.
That's one of, he is a supporter. And I think across the street, the other Newtonian, or was his across the street neighbor on the southern side of the street was in the woman that ran from Newton. It was a very close election, actually, but we see money being appropriated, and the good old boy network continues to keep they're up to their neck in the trough.
Right.
And that park board meeting, including the F-bombs, that I think were edited out in the version I saw, was just a disgrace. People on the park board that shouldn't be on the park board, shouldn't be voting, and the agenda being ramrodded through. This guy, we gotta, you remember that old, there was an old cowboy TV thing there. They had a cowboy movie, TV series, and they had a ramrod there. I said, that's what this mayor likes to ramrod things through. Get everybody, pull people out of flag details and food distributing to people who need food, and stick them in, get them in the meetings and get all your people lined up and just ramrod. I need that tonight. I want it done before anybody can catch up with what's going on. That's the problem. It's the irony of a guy who ran on it. I'm going to be transparent is anything but. Everything is done in the back room, comes out, they ramrod it through, and then all you can do is it's like the budget. Well, I got the budget through, so eat it and live with it. Even though the budget may not be a legal budget, again, that's another issue that we have to look at. That is a budget really a budget if some of the money in that budget has not actually gone through the due process of being approved
or being appropriated?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Appropriated. That's it. If in fact that has not been done, and the irony is you can't have it both ways. You can't take the position that you can't reject the budget in its entirety and then turn around and say, well, the budget is the budget because it went through because you didn't act on it. So now the entire budget is okay. Well, the entire budget isn't okay. You just said you had to go item by item. And
right.
That rejection wasn't. So those items that have to be appropriated are not appropriated.
Right.
So the budget has holes in it. Besides having built-in structural deficits, it has holes.
But one of the things that I remember distinctly that Sean Kadim said during the meeting where they were shoving the budget down the city council's throat was he said, normally the city council approves the budget and then votes to appropriate the money for the budget. No vote to appropriate the money for the budget was ever taken. So is there any money at all? Is the mayor illegally spending funds? That is a potential. Because if there's no money appropriated, is he illegally spending funds? Is he deficit spending?
Yeah, and therein lies the rub. I know what they're going to say. Well, you guys didn't act on it, so we said you can't. You have to go item by item. But now, because it's our budget, everything is passed automatically. Even things that need a 2/3 vote. I think that was critical. When Sean Kadim pointed out that there were things there were items there that needed a 2/3 vote, not just a majority vote, but needed a 2/3 vote for that appropriation. That's critical. Because now the 2/3 is that's null and void. Everything is automatically put in the budget the way he wants it and appropriated. No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. But again, we get into the situation where nothing's going to really happen because nobody's going to spend the hundreds of thousands of dollars it's going to take them to court.
Right.
And therein lies the problem. Because guess what that means? The taxpayers take it in the face.
Well, it's funny you should say that because a little while ago, I was reviewing social media, and you can tell it's election season. There's a post of the picture of Paul Coogan, and it says, with holding a sign, "New ideas? No, I just tax and spend." Which isn't too far off. Okay. Then there's another one here. Let me see if I can find it again. Which I thought was funny as well. They're popping up all over the place right now, so it's kind of hard to track them all. Oh, here's another one. Same picture of Paul holding a sign, and it says, "I raised your taxes without considering any cuts at City Hall." So these type of memes are being posted now, and the mayor's team's gonna have to address them. He's gonna have to get on top of it. If he doesn't, it's just gonna bite him in the butt. I think the worst one was from one of his mayoral competitors, if you want to call him that. And he posts, this is from Jordan James Sylvia. "I wonder if the newly formed police network patrols is really just a pretext for Mayor Coogan to send the police around looking for all the minorities he said are the problem with our schools. These clowns like Coogan and Matt Malone blame the pigment of children for the inability to educate with $100 million plus annual budgets. We went from normal to now cancel the annual city fireworks and institute police fireworks SWAT teams. Paul Coogan resigned, you old fogey."
That was, see, come on, Jordan. Don't attack the guy. The policy, not the age. It doesn't matter. He would have done it if he was 25. That's just the way he was. He is. Remember, he spent 30 years in the school department. That number may be wrong. I'm going to get called out on that one. I don't know exactly how many years he spent in the school department, but it was too long. Whatever. Yeah. All right, so I will withdraw that. Whatever time he spent in the school department in that giant bureaucracy. But, the thing is that those signs are true. He not only didn't cut any positions.
He added.
He increased salaries for those positions above the ordinance.
That's right.
So it's like, forget it. He not only just had a total disregard for the taxpayer. He just dumped more on the taxpayer. The hell with them. I don't care. The ordinance says it's 50 grand. Give her 84 grand. Paul Coogan says it's okay to violate city ordinances. But remember, the law is discretionary.
That's right.
We don't have to abide by the law. It's discretionary, which is a crock. But this is, again, as you said, and the thing about these memes is that they're true.
Right.
They're true. It's not stuff that's being made up. And yeah, I mean, don't, come on, Jordan. It was you were right on target until you had to practice age discrimination yourself. Whether they're millennials or old fogies doesn't make any difference.
Well, what's interesting is we've already heard reports from you've heard them and I've heard them, so it's not something that we're hearing ourselves and we're making it up. We've both heard from different people that Paul, when he was in the school system, turned around and told students, "You're too stupid, drop out." He told students, if you have a problem, leave. If you're not happy here, quit. He told another student, stop acting so gay. So we have him saying, we have him saying as a teacher, students are stupid. We have him as a teacher practicing homophobia. We now have a claim that he's a racist. I mean, how much more do you want? How much more do you want? And I mean, that is true. And I heard this very clearly. When my daughter was in the school system, I called the school department because I wanted her to begin school when she was turning 5. She was 4, turning 5 in October. But because she wasn't 5 by September 1st, she couldn't start school until the following year. So I put her in private school. And I asked, why is it that when I went to school, if you were 5 by December 31st, you were able to go into school, but now it's going to be by September 1st. And I was told, using rather graphic language, which I will not repeat here, okay, it is because of the minorities being so stupid that we have to do this to make sure that they can get appropriate education. This came from within the school system. So this type of racism is rampant throughout the school system. It's just hidden. It's just hidden. And as with everything else, they hide it. But we're now in a woke environment. Remember that. So this is going to be what happens. So you better get it together.
No, you're right. And it's obvious. And, like I said, there are allegations, but these come from people. I spoke to someone who interacted with someone who supposedly was told, berated and called stupid because they flunked the math course and basically told to get out of school. You're never going to amount to anything. But remember, that's kind of his philosophy. If you don't like it, didn't he tell that to a park board member?
Yes, he did.
So it's not only, this is not inconsistent with what he did in the high school. It's consistent. If you don't like it, beat it. And where did it come from? It comes from the most dictatorial department in the city of Fall River. The school department has always been run like a totalitarian government. Look at Malone. Look at his predecessor, Meg Mayo Brown. As a matter of fact, there are allegations that Paul Coogan was censured by Meg Mayo Brown for not doing his job to evaluate teachers. And then he filed a grievance, supposedly, left, moved to Somerset, then moved back expressly to get on a school committee to boot Meg Mayo Brown.
Right.
Those were all allegations.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the kind of thing that's happened. But it's not uncharacteristic of the school department. Just look at what's happened. We don't have to look too far in the past. Look what the gang of FOA did with Malone. The city of Fall River and the taxpayers who took it on a chin for this bozo and will continue taking it on a chin when they settle all these lawsuits never found out the full story. And they're still suppressing it. And they're still trying to cover it up. So you get somebody from the school department, this is the way they do business back there, in the back room, in executive session. And you don't get to know it, even though they work for you. And that's problematic. That's problematic.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, definitely. Hey, I want to bring up something we brought up on a previous show. Do you remember the show, and it was last week, I believe, where I talked about the state has made money available to cities and towns for body cams for the police?
Yes, I do.
Guess what? Chief Cardoza has decided that we're going to get the body cams. He has asked for the approval to buy 215 devices for every sergeant, detective, and police officer in the department. So he's asked for the funding for that.
Good for him.
I think so. And I'm not sure if the unions finally, agreed to it or if they're going to fight him on it. But guess what? He's doing what's right. He's doing what's right. And I can't fault him for that. That's for sure. I don't know if the mayor had anything to do with that or if this was a unilateral decision by the police chief. But, I mean, if it was a unilateral decision, good for the chief. My thumbs up to him because I think we need the body cams. And this will stop the allegations of abuse. Some allegations which are, we still got a case in court, I believe, about a police officer who allegedly abused somebody. We have allegations of an arrested suspect who died. So with all of these allegations, these body cams can either convict or, salvage them.
Yeah, they're going to be exonerated. Look, if I was a police officer and I did my job, by the rules, I'd want a body camera to basically prove my point it's difficult enough for police officers today, even if they have evidence, to get off. Because we've seen situations where the police officers were 100% right in most people's opinion, and they still, the vocal minority, want them thrown off the force or something. The guy attacked somebody with a knife. Look at that incident a while back. Remember when the police officer stopped someone who was attempting to stab another teenager to death, and he shot her, and they were they wanted the police officer removed and everything else. What did he do? Why didn't he do something else? I don't know. They think it's a TV movie that he can shoot the knife out of her hand or something like that, like it's a Hollywood movie. That's not the way it works. In those stress situations, it's hard enough to even hit anything. Most people put in those situations would empty a clip and not hit anything because the adrenaline. So a police officer intercedes to save someone's life, and they want him terminated. So these people just don't want police. They want a society where they can do what they're doing now. Run into Neiman Marcus and clean it out in broad daylight.
You saw that story too, huh?
And nobody does anything. They just leave. There are businesses and big businesses leaving some of these blue cities like San Francisco because they can't keep, they're being robbed blind. People just run in and take their inventory. And there's no police, there's no nothing. And they want to get rid of everything now. They want to get rid of jails. They want to get rid of bail. They want to get rid of everything. They just want the criminals to run amok like they're doing in New York City. But the people, that's not what the people want. See, this vocal minority and this mainstream media that want to make this country into a war zone and a third world country, people are getting sick and tired of it. Look at who won a Democratic primary in New York City. A retired police captain who was the only Democratic candidate that didn't want to defund the police. Andrew Yang, who ran for president, finished 5th. The people in New York City voted for somebody because you can't go out on the street in New York City. They're being shot. People just walk up to you and shoot you. It's out of control. And this is what they want. They want the people to fear the society they live in and then go to them for help. And then they can nationalize the police force and have the Gestapo again. But people are getting fed up all over the country, whether it's critical race theory or the crime. They're getting fed up. So,
the brown shirts are coming back.
You're right. And that's why I think body cams, kudos to the police chief. I think body cams are, the only person that has to fear something being taped is a person who's going to be caught on tape doing what they're not supposed to do.
How dare you say that? The mayor doesn't want anything recorded.
That's right.
You can't have his meetings recorded. Why? How dare you say he fears that? Oh, my goodness. Maybe he does fear it. Maybe that's why he wants to record it. Maybe that's why he's got a city councilor that every phone call that the city council makes to her gets recorded. He gets a message. I don't know. I mean, what do you got to hide, Paul? Come on. Tell us what you got to hide.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say. The truth never fears investigation.
That's right. And that's why we've always said, let's have a forensic audit because we don't fear it. But the city fears it, and that's the big problem. And maybe one day we'll have a city council that can pull together and not only dictate, but make sure that the city gets a fair forensic audit, and that those people that may or may not have caused problems are held accountable accordingly, even if that means jail time.
Yeah. Have we forgotten? We still have an allegation that the Munis system was overridden, but not by the individual who has the authorization to override the system. But I don't see follow-up on this.
No, because the mayor issued a statement saying that the only person authorized to override the Munis system is the auditor, and the auditor did not do that, did not perform that action.
Yeah.
Well, we were told that it happened. The city council was told that it happened. And as a matter of fact, they were told that happened by Mary Sahadi. So, Mr. Mayor, you're calling your chief financial officer a liar? Yay! Now we know now she doesn't have a leg to stand on in her claims against Sean Kadim because you called her a liar, Mr. Mayor. You did.
Yeah, she did say that on tape, on video, at a meeting. And she even specified for what it was overridden for.
That's right.
So obviously it was overridden.
Right.
And there's again one of Paul's famous statements. He says nothing in it. Oh, yeah, she didn't override the system. Well, who did? Mary, your chief financial officer not only said it was overridden, she gave what departments were overridden. So I don't know who's lying, Paul. You telling a half truth and a half lie? She didn't. The auditor didn't override it, but who did? Who overrode it?
Hey,
and whoever overrode it. Remember this one important factor: they violated the law because he said there's only one person who can override it.
That's right. Now here's the thing: he picks on us for one word, like you said, 30 years in the school department, and then you immediately retracted it because you're not sure of the amount of time he was there. He'll pick on one word and pick it out. So I'm going to pick out one word. You said that it never happened, but Mary Sahadi said it happened. So obviously you called her a liar. What can I tell you? So now maybe she should file a complaint against you for a hostile work environment, Mr. Mayor, and she can get that claim filed, and it would have standing. It would have actual standing. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, and you know what's not funny, CJ? The fact that the city has someone who did something that was totally inappropriate again for the millionth time, and there's no accountability.
No.
Our mayor will not hold him accountable, just like he wouldn't hold Malone accountable.
That's right. God forbid. God forbid anybody be held accountable. And we've seen it before. What's the rule? Keep your head down, keep your mouth shut, and it will pass over and people will forget about it. Right?
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm not buying it. I can't do nothing about Malone because my brother, well, your brother didn't make the report that's being suppressed. It was somebody else, so you could. But what you can't escape is that you are now the mayor of the city of Fall River, not just on a school committee. And as the mayor of the city of Fall River, you could have held him accountable to the city's sexual harassment policy, which applies to every city employee, including the school department employee.
That's right.
And but you didn't step forward again. Why? Because you didn't have the cojones.
Yeah. Well, and obviously he didn't want to enact his usual statement. If you don't like it here, Mr. Malone, you can leave. He didn't do that either.
No.
Okay. So we have, areas that really need to be focused on. And obviously this man is not focusing on any of them. So it's going to be interesting to see. That's for sure. Well, it looks like we're running out of time here, and we have to go from that point on. I want to. Is there anything real quick that you need to bring up, Chip?
No. Just it's nice to be back and be on screen again, not over the telephone. And
that's true.
And my dog is sleeping on the bed. Yep, peacefully. So,
well, I want to thank everyone for watching, and thank you for inviting us into your home. Remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. And also remember, it is an election season. Do your investigation and do your own reporting. Thank you for watching.
Vote.